Right, Paul, but what it means is it doesn't work. The pedal, when he pushes it up and down, won't release it. But with these cars, because of the type of transmissions they have, you can shift without a clutch, both up and down.
In fact, they routinely do it just that way.
Well, a lot of them do. Some of them still have to heel and toe it because the old-fashioned way, but the new guys all shift without the clutches most of the time.
Boy, look at Eddie Cheever as he goes hopping across the gravel area at the chicane and picked up a couple positions.
It was a good gain. I bet it was an awful bumpy thing to him. Watch this here.
Just look at Cheever. He's in trouble with the rears braking pretty hard on him, and he just says, well, straight's probably pretty good.
Now, that gravel pit was put there to slow the cars down, but I think it just vaulted him ahead of those two guys.
He got out ahead of Guerrero and Matsushita. In doing so, remember, Fittipaldi pulled the same stunt last year and won the race.
Now, you got to wonder whether Guerrero saw that and said, hey, maybe that's a quicker way. I'll try it.
Emerson Fittipaldi running in third place behind Mansell and Mario Andretti, who have yet to stop. Let's get an update from Jack Arute.
Paul, you're looking at all the methanol that's left in Emerson Fittipaldi's fuel tanks. It's less than a gallon of fuel. They wanted to take it all on board. They weren't able to get it all there. And when Roger Penske, who was behind me, checked with his crew, he asked, how are we on fuel? The answer was, we're on the ragged edge.
They would have liked to have gone another lap, but they probably didn't have it. A 2.7-mile circuit here, the fuel to get that far around. They're waiting for Mario Andretti down in the Kmart pits.
And Roger Penske, here he comes. And what Mario's going to be thinking, or excuse me, Penske's going to be thinking about doing is, what do I do? It's going to be turn the boost down and short shift. That means a lot less RPM all the way around.
4-tire change for Mario Andretti on lap 45. He runs in second place, but while he sits in the pits, Fittipaldi has already flashed past and put him down to third place. Now here goes Mario. Back up to full speed. 4 new tires on the car and a full tank of fuel. 65 laps, the scheduled distance. That's 20 laps away for Mario.
Mario's still in pretty good position, Paul. One little tiny left front wing adjustment. Of course, he doesn't have a right front wing on the car, but a little adjustment to the wing, and away he goes, and he's in third place. That's not bad right now.
That adjustment, is that most likely to balance the missing right front?
Yes, they keep screwing it up, keep turning it up a little higher to give it more downforce to make up for what isn't there on the other side.
Fifth place Arie Luyendyk comes into the pits, makes his stop. He managed to go 24 laps since the last stop, so that'll give you an idea of how these cars are doing on fuel economy. Luyendyk, of course, a Ford-powered machine.
Some of the guys that are back a little ways, like Luyendyk, will often shift a little bit early. If they realize they can't lead the race, the best thing to do is to try to outsmart the guys on fuel or go a little bit longer in chance that they may find a yellow flag and be able to pit under yellow.
And with these stops, Nigel Mansell reassumes the lead of the race, but he still will most likely have to make a pit stop before the end of the run, the only car that is left to do so. In second place is Emerson Fittipaldi, followed by Mario Andretti, then Robbie Gordon and Arie Luyendyk. Sixth place, Bobby Rahal, Raul Boesel, Eddie Cheever, Teo Fabi, and Roberto Guerrero runs now in 10th place. So the battle continues at Surfers Paradise, and we'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
One of the great things about coming to Australia is the great suites that they have pitside. You're able to invite all your friends like they've done here at IndyCar. But the most important thing is you're able to look out over pit road and see all of the exciting action. But most importantly, too, you can pick up a hat, put it on your head, and have a fair dinkin' day.
Jack, take the hat back off.
Yeah.
Your day isn't going that well.
I think he should.
Nigel Mansell leads this race. The question, of course, is when can he stop? He absolutely must stop before the end of the run. He's gone 19 laps since his last stop, but I would suspect, Gary Gerald, if you can join us, that the crew wants him to bring that tank in as dry as possible.
Absolutely the case, Paul. 29.3 gallons of fuel on the pit side of the wall. They'll try to get every bit of it into the car. We also are led to believe that he'll stay on the same set of tires. So it'll be fuel only, and then Mansell will have hot tires as he goes back onto the race course.
The Kmart Haviland Lola in the hands of Nigel Mansell with some critical decision-making to make. And Bobby Unser, once again, here is a car that in race conditions he's not that familiar with. Yes, he has the instrumentation, but there's also a feel that he may not be able to judge.
I know, but you know, Jim McGee down in the pits made a real good decision on that, or down in the pit stop for Nigel. Keep the same tires on, because we can all see how much problems they have on cold tires. He needs every little advantage he can get. So going back out on hot tires, even though they're worn out a little bit, will definitely be a good move.
So the strategy being played so very carefully, trying to get Nigel Mansell a win in the IndyCars in his very first race. What a spectacular achievement that might be.
It certainly shows you that an entire team does it, not just the driver, because just making that one decision about leaving the tires on was really a good one made by the team.
Only driver to win in his rookie IndyCar event. You raced against him. Can you guess who it is?
No, I don't really
Graham
know.
Hill, the Indianapolis 500. Won in his rookie year at Indy.
That's right. I was there that year, Paul.
1966. Of course, part of that owing to that first lap accident that took most of the contenders out. Nigel Mansell has been in the fight this entire day, fallen backwards twice, and still comes back to the front of the field. He's now gone 20 laps since his last pit stop. Second place, let's run through the order for you. Fittipaldi. Third is Robbie Gordon. Mario Andretti is fourth. Ari Luyendyk is fifth. No changes there. Bobby Rahal has finally made his way up to sixth place, getting around Eddie Cheever. Raul Boesel runs in eighth. In ninth is Teo Fabi. Roberto Guerrero in his full season ride for Kenny Bernstein and the Budweiser team, now in 10th place. Hiro Matsushita is 11th. Scott Goodyear is 12th. 13th is Stefan Johansson. In 14th is Gary Brabham. Danny Sullivan is 15th. His teammate Al Unser Jr. is 16th. Scott Brayton 17th. Ross Bentley in 18th. And Buddy Lazier, Mark Smith, Paul Tracy still in the fight. Marco Greco back in the action. And Robbie Buell running 23rd. Jimmy Vasser is 24th. There's Gary Brabham. They're keeping track of him, of course, local Australian. This may be, though, the only ride of the year for him. Very talented young driver.
It was interesting on Gary Brabham. A whole bunch of companies, or numerous companies from Australia, made it possible for him to be in the race. And he is really a good race driver, Paul.
Oh, he's excellent. The whole racing family. Sir Jack, the fellow who brought the rear engine car in modern times to the Indianapolis 500 and IndyCar racing.
Some of the hardest races I've ever had is against Jack Brabham. He was one stubborn, fast race driver.
And, of course, Jeff Brabham, great GTP champion. The front of the field, Mansell is unchallenged. He has a 33-second lead over second-place Emerson Fittipaldi. You ride with Mansell now. We asked Nigel to differentiate driving this road circuit in an Indy car as compared to his experience in Formula One.
Well, there's a lot of differences. I mean, very quickly, it's a turbocharged engine as opposed to an aspirated engine, so there's a little bit of a lag for the power. The cars are significantly heavier, 500 pounds in point of fact. We have a normal gear shift, whereas the Formula One car is automatic. And then we have a pop-off valve as well that we have to regulate, and a whole host of other things. But basically, the driving style in the slow corners is similar, with the exception that with an Indy car, because they're so much heavier, you have to be almost a little bit more precise, because if you miss the apex, you don't really get a second go at it, because the car is so much heavier, it's less responsive to change. Whereas a Formula One car is dancing all the time on the knife edge, and therefore if you actually miss the apex, you can maybe have one or two more goes at it. Otherwise, I'd say it's more or less identical.
And now Nigel Mansell on the pit road for what should be his last stop of the day. Gary Gerould is there.
Keep in mind, Paul, it is his third stop. He had that unscheduled one when he thought he had a puncture. He did not have a puncture. This time they will not change tires. They're going to stay on the used tires. 29.3 gallons in. He's out of here in just under 9 seconds on our clock.
An incredibly fast stop as it's fuel only. They keep the old tires on, and Nigel Mansell heads for the end of the pits, looking for Fittipaldi, who runs in second place behind Mansell. Mansell gets out clean thus far. Those tires fully heated up, paying off for him. And here comes Fittipaldi. So Nigel Mansell in and out of the pits and maintains position in doing so. Fittipaldi came across the line 19 seconds behind. What a spectacular stop for Nigel Mansell.
It certainly was a fast one, but now we'll just have to see. Did they get enough fuel in there? Did they get it all? That's what we'll have to find out now, Paul.
Well, Gary Gerald is down there, and he can check and see if all of the fuel came out of the tank. The best guess is that you would have to have drained that tank fully. Gary Gerald, what's the story?
Yeah, Paul, we're looking down at the tank, and we can see, in the hose, with the way they mark it, I believe about 1.5 gallons, close to 2 gallons left. So they didn't get it all. They got close to all of it. Will it be enough?
That's going to be the big question, because the best indication, certainly out of most of the cars here, was that you were going to need every drop of fuel allocated to make it to the end of the race. Nigel Mansell stopped and comes out 19 seconds ahead of Fittipaldi. As the remnants of Cyclone Roger left the area, it made a great day for the kiters. Look at this as it towed them down the beach. Little rough for surfing, though. The waves, at one point, they had a 43-foot wave just off in the Pacific. Here ashore, it's Nigel Mansell, 19 seconds ahead of second place Emerson Fittipaldi. When you look back from the rear of his car, every time he glances down into his rearview mirrors, look at that. Empty track behind him, and he's burning up the record. The track record was 77 miles an hour. Nigel Mansell is averaging 97 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour faster at this point. But can he hold on to the end of the race? Let's check first in his pit with Gary Gerald.
Paul, the crew here says they're not concerned about the fact that there are 2 gallons of fuel left over there in the hose. They're wondering if the tires will be all right. We talked to one of the tire men. He said that should not be a problem at all. We'll take it nice and easy. They think they're going to be able to slide home with a win, and this storybook tale looks like it's going to reach heroic proportions for Nigel Mansell. Let's go further up pit road now to Jack Arute.
Gary, imagine the frustration with this team, the Roger Penske-led team, as they check their computer, the telemetry on board, reading out how many miles per gallon they're getting for their fuel. They literally don't have enough fuel on board to do any heavy racing. So they're going to have to maintain that second position and wait for the green light, maybe in the last couple of laps, to put the hammer down, as they say, and try and chase down Mansell.
Third place is Robbie Gordon, A.J. Foyt's number 14 car.
That was Paul Morgan standing right behind Jack Arute from Chevrolet Engines, a guy that one of the big designers of the Chevrolet engine. And I'm certain that he's worried about whether or not the Chevrolet's not going to get the proper amount of mileage. They have to get 1.8 miles per gallon. And I could just look at the frown on Paul's face. It looked bad.
Well, most of the engines weren't coming anywhere near that kind of mileage in any of the practice. You saw some seriously long faces in the Penske pit. Robbie Gordon solidly in third, 20 seconds behind the leader, 24, and just 6 seconds behind Emerson Fittipaldi.